What's up? What's up? What's up? This is my first live stream on YouTube. So it's saying that they won't. I'm on the free plan on StreamYard. And I'm still getting used to it. We're gonna see how that go. It's saying that it won't record it. So we'll see. We'll see how this works out. But how y'all feeling out there? I hope everything's good. Again, it's my first live stream. So we're gonna make it do what it do. All right. All right. So my name is Johnny Lamar X, and I just uh I just started a personal development company. It's called Philosophic Alchemy. And what Philosophic Alchemy is, it's all about personal transformation. That's what we do in Philosophic Alchemy. I'm gonna try not to be boring for y'all. I'm gonna try to be engaging and entertaining as possible and all of that because I know a boring YouTube channel is not even worth watching. So the things that I talk about is all about I talk to the metaphorical lost boys in purgatory. And what the lost boys in purgatory are just people who stuck, you trying to figure it out, And I was trying to figure it out for a long time. I'm not saying I got it all figured out, but I definitely got more figured out than what I had, let's say, a few years ago, for sure. So I'm quite sure I can be that help to someone who's in that situation and trying to figure out what they're trying to do and where they're trying to go. All right. So off top, we're talking about how it's okay not to want to be normal, and go at the traditional path. Listen, I came up as traditional and normal and traditional can get. Two-parent household, dad worked at a mill, mom worked at a bakery. Super normal, just super regular, right? We went to a Christian church, everything that, the traditional path was, but I never fit in with any of it. Oh, also, by the way, today is sponsored by the Supreme Scent. This is Calvin Klein Eternity. I don't know the notes of it yet, but what I will tell you, we think of Calvin Klein, we think of the sexy white boy with the chiseled abs and all of that. And this smells like a t-shirt and jeans type of scent. I wouldn't wear this with a suit. I would wear this on a casual t-shirt and jeans type of day. That's what I would wear. You and your girlfriend going to Target or something. That's when I would rock the Calvin Klein Eternity. But it's good. It's real good. It'll get you, all the compliments. All the ladies will think you're fine and sexy and all of that. It smells good. But again, it is the Supreme Scent. That's who sponsors this live stream. And the Supreme Scent may be having to sponsor StreamYard in a minute. But anyway, yeah, ain't nothing wrong with not wanting to be normal, man. I coming up, I never wanted normal. I just didn't, man. Like normal was just boring. It was boring. I never liked it. It wasn't cool, So, and nothing's wrong with normal if you okay with normal. As a matter of fact, I've envied normal a lot of times. The guy who can just go work at Walmart, get his check, come home, be totally content and happy in life. Man, that's peace, bro. If you can truly live that life and be happy about it, kudos to you. I think you done figured something out. For me personally, bro, I always wanted freedom. I always want to live in my truth. I always want to live in my purpose and stuff of that nature. And we're not just one way. We can be who we want to be, man. That's what I figured out. It's just a decision. That's all it is. If you stuck right now, you're in some type of limbo and you feeling like, you stuck on this job, you stuck in this relationship, you ain't making no money, whatever it is, right? You fat, you want to lose weight. It's just a decision. That's all it is. It's simply leave, leave the job. I know it's scary. I know you thinking about how you're gonna pay the bills, but at least you out of that situation, right? And that's what philosophical alchemy is all about, man. We're gonna talk about how to make them decisions and just deal with them. Because what I'm finding out is that everything works for the good, for the most part. Everything's working out to get you closer back to the source, which is God. Straight up. That's why we got the becoming of God. The bag. You are the bag. It's already in you. You are who you were meant to be. Straight up. you know, or you have the potential to be who you were sent here to be. Because that's another thing. We're really gonna die one day. You gonna die one day. And once we truly come to grips with that, and listen, over here, I don't teach that we coming back. Nothing. If we do come back, I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think I'll ever come back to this earth as Johnny Lamar X. If I come back, the reincarnation thing seems more sound to me than the going off to heaven or burning in hell story. Because energy is neither transferred, no, it's never destroyed. It's only transferred, right? It's never destroyed or created. It's only transferred. So this air or this soul that we have, this breath that we have, is transferred. Where I don't know, but I seriously doubt I will show up here in this body with this name born to my parents. That I just don't think that's the way this thing works. I really don't. I think that once we're gone, we're gone. So we're put here for a very short time, and you got to think about it, right? God is infinite. So the way that we see a fly's life, a fly is here for 4 days. I think a fly only lives for 4 days. So that's how our lives live. Look, it said a day with the Lord is 1,000 years. And let's just say we live to be 75. I don't know the math on that, but it's probably a few minutes, like 4 minutes or something. I don't know how long, but it's not long, right? So just imagine that. So looking at our lives from the perspective of God, if we have this short time to manifest the God within us, what do we spend the majority of our time focusing on? Because we become what we focus on. So think about it for a moment. If you don't want to be average, what is average? The average person lives in a state of quiet desperation. Most people don't really like a job. Most people are just negative. The media is negative. If you work a job, if you go to the break room, I guarantee you it's probably negative. A lot of us have negative friends. You may have negative family members. Most people are just complaining and just drifting. So if you don't want to be that, I understand. That's why I'm here, because I don't want to be that either. And I choose not to be it. I choose to be what I want to be and who I want to be, right? That's what I choose to be. So, in order to create the reality that we desire, we first have to fall in love with ourselves. That's just what it is, right? We have to fall in love with ourselves, man. And we have to know who we are. But the only way we can know who we are is to know who created us, right? Some call him whatever you call him. I call him God. I believe in God. I'm I'm just a believer in God, man. So that's what I call it. It's an inside out game, not just an outside in game. And thoughts and feelings are the key. So the way that you feel, right? The way that you think for the most part, it's going to control the way that you feel. And the way that you feel controls the things you do, and the things you do eventually create the life that you live. That's just the truth, right? So we can control the way we think by controlling what we give our attention to. That ultimately control the way we feel. And the way that we feel, if that controls the way that we act, then we can change and we can come into a new reality that way. But if we don't learn how to change the way we think, and thinking is the mind, right? Feelings is the body, and the head is supposed to be in control of the body. So if usually humans, we let the body or the way that we feel, we let that dictate the way that we act. And this is what I'm learning. The more that you control your thoughts and act regardless of how you feel, eventually you start feeling better than you thought. Let me say that again. Once we start to control, right, or we start to act better than we feel, we start to feel better than we thought, right? And eventually that's training the body. The body eventually starts to get used to that program. It's discipline. It's the discipline of the body. It's just like when you go to the gym. Anybody who's been a gym head, oftentimes when you first went to the gym, you hated it. Your muscles were sore. You hated the gym. But after a while, after about a week or two, you excited to go to the gym now. Your body is like, okay. First, your body's sitting back like, man, I don't want to do it. It's like a baby. It don't want to do it. It's crying, it's whining, it's moaning, and all of that. But eventually, the body starts to say, okay, and it starts to like it a little bit. And one day when you can't go because you may have had another obligation, the body says, hey, we're going to the gym today, ain't we? Are we going to the gym? Right? It's the same way with everything else. It's the same way with this live stream. I plan on coming to you on this live stream at least 3 times a week. I plan on doing this often, over and over and over and over, right? Until I can get to the point where it's easy, it's natural, because that's another thing. It has to become natural. I want to be someone who can do this thing easily, but it takes practice. And right now, there's nobody in here. First live stream, nobody's in here. Granted, it is around 11 o'clock, and I didn't let anybody know. But I have to do this over and over and over again because I want it to be thousands in here, right? I want it to be thousands eventually. So this is the practice for anybody who's been down with me. One day you may look and say, this is his first video. Yep, this is it. Like my motto is, start dusty. Start dusty, man. Right? It's an inside-out game, right? We all carry an atmosphere, and that atmosphere is either negative or positive based on our thoughts and feelings, right? So our atmosphere is either negative or positive based off our thoughts and feelings. Our thoughts and feelings create an atmosphere, right? An atmosphere is basically the air around us. It's the vibe, it's the vibration, it's like our aura. It's the energy that we carry into a room, right? You ever been around somebody who's just completely negative? Every time you see them, or they carry a vibe that just makes your energy, it sucks the energy or the life out of the room. That's because they have subtracting negative thoughts. The way that they think is the energy that surrounds them, right? That's the energy they carry around people, and it subtracts because lively people, what happens is, even if I'm vibrating up here and another person comes in and they're vibrating down here, I'm self aware enough to know it. But at the same time, eventually, unless I'm skilled enough, they're going to suck my energy down. But either way it goes, I can bring them up, but that still takes energy from me. You see what I'm saying? The thing is, in order to create the reality we want, there's a negative and a positive. You're never going to get away from the negative, right? Negative isn't always necessarily bad, right? It's just the way that we perceive it. It's the way that we react to the negative. We have to know how to get the positive out of everything, because what I'm learning is it's our reactions to things that determine who we are. Let me say that again. It's our reactions to the outside reality that determines who we are. That's our signal, or that's what lets us know who we are in here, by how we react to the things out here. If you ever want to know who you really are, how do you react to things outside of you? Right? Do you logically respond? Do you look at it and you logically respond? See, if you logically respond, that means that you're able to see the positive. That means that you're present enough to sit back and analyze it and choose about how you're going to respond. But the average person just emotionally reacts. It goes back to their mind and their body all over again. The average person emotionally reacts, right? The extraordinary person logically sits back and they respond and choose how they're going to react to the outside reality. And it's a skill, right? I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I'm better. It's a skill. Just how we talked about the gym earlier. It's a mental skill that over time you build and build and build until eventually it's easy, right? Or it's easier. Anything that you practice is going to get easier, right? Every level has a new devil. So, for instance, how would a person respond if they were it's like a person who's been cheated on before, right? If you've been cheated on by this person once, the first time, especially if you were in love with them, it blows your mind. It rocks your whole world, right? The second time, it's probably still going to be painful, but not as painful as that first time. If you're still there that third time, it probably don't even phase you like it did before. Why? Because now you can respond to it because you've seen it before, right? You know how to sit back and analyze those emotions better that third time, right? Better than you could that first time. So what we want to do is get our internal world so strong where the outside world can't even phase it. That's my goal with philosophical alchemy. Okay, that's another thing. The higher you vibrate, because we just talked about you got the negative and the positive, right? And that negative and positive is just like the atom, right? The atom has a negative charge and a positive charge. And it vibrates, is what the atom does. It vibrates over and over and over, right? The more you give in to that negative charge, the lower you vibrate until you die. The more you give into that positive charge, the higher you vibrate on the material level, right? So what happens is that atmosphere, that negative or positive atmosphere that you carry around with you, it also has the ability to affect the outside world or affect matter. Thoughts influence matter. When we talk about thoughts, we're talking about the spiritual world. That's the thoughts, right? Now, when we're talking about the emotional, that's the thoughts influencing the material world, and the material world or the emotions show up in our physical world. So, the higher you vibrate, the more you can attract and create. The higher you vibrate, the more you can attract and create. See, the higher you vibrate, which is the love frequency, which is the frequency of God, and God is abundance, He's the creator, the more you become like Him. The more you can take those ideas and manifest them fast because you understand or you vibrate. You don't have that fear that someone who's vibrating on a lower level has, right? Because matter becomes more dense, and the more dense you are, the more you identify with the outside world, the more it consumes you, and the more you get away from peace, the more you get away from abundance, the more you get away from joy, and you want to consume everything in this outside world, and you're looking for fleeting pleasures. You always have to have more of it because you're always dissatisfied. You're always wanting, lusting after things of the flesh or things of the material world, right? But the more we vibrate higher and the more we tune our minds to vibrate higher, the easier we can take those ideas and thoughts, right? And act on them fast and materialize our reality and it looks the way we want it to look. That's what we want to do in philosophic alchemy. I want to talk about this. The higher we vibrate, the more spiritual we become. And the lower we vibrate, the more matter we become. Right? Give an example. Again, the lower we vibrate, the more we want to eat because we're consuming. We want to eat constantly. We're always looking for the sugar. We're always looking for the salt. We're always looking for the greasy foods or the fat because we call it comfort food. You rarely find people who are vibrating low on the salad. You barely find them fasting. You just people on the lower level don't do things like that. We want porn, we want sex, we want the strip club, we want whatever. We're in the clubs looking for some release. We're looking for joy and abundance and really what we really have come here to experience. We come here to experience both actually. But what we come here to become, I don't believe we come here to stay on that dense level, right? We come here to manifest God, right? And God is the highest level of vibration. So we eat with pleasure seeking, with sense. We're trying to gratify the senses. We're doing everything that we possibly can in order to, you know, find peace. But peace doesn't come on the in the material world. It only comes from the spiritual world. But let me say this: the material world definitely does help sponsor your peace. And this is what I mean. It's kind of hard to experience peace. Not saying it's impossible because we know the Buddha supposedly did it, but it's kind of hard to experience peace when you're sleeping on the corner or sleeping on in the middle of the street. It's kind of hard to experience peace when you don't have adequate nutrition, right? When you don't have your basic survival needs, it is kind of hard to experience peace, right? I believe peace is even easier to experience when you do have some luxury. Not saying that luxury gives you peace, because there are plenty of people who have luxury. They have uh, millions of dollars, and they're definitely not experiencing peace. We've seen many examples of it, from celebrities to business people to entertainers. We've seen it. And this is what I want to talk about. The enemy keeps us focused on the material world and how to survive in it, right? While our true nature is the inside work, and that is where God resides. So the enemy keeps us in survival mode. He wants us to always focus on having just enough to survive, because when people are in survival mode, it's easier to control them, right? So I'm going to give you just enough, right, to survive on, and maybe a little bit of luxury, just a little bit. And I'm going to always tease you with the luxuries of life that you see on TV, that you see on social media, right? So I can keep you wanting. I can keep you feeling like you don't have enough. And if you're not enough and you don't love yourself because you don't know yourself, you always want to be consumed, trying to fill that void. That's why we have a country full of consumers in the United States of America. We're just a bunch of consumers, right? Looking to fill that void that only God can fulfill. Then again, this ain't a preachy. I'm not a preacher at all, but I am a teacher. That's all I want to do. I teach. I don't preach. So our prayer and meditation, you go into the real world. That's another thing. Prayer and meditation. See, I teach a lot about presence. Presence is where you find that peace, that joy, and that abundance, right? And you find it either through prayer and meditation. But you can be a walking prayer. You can be a walking meditation. It's all about having a state of mind, having a frame of mind that's just aware, that's present, that's focused on the right now, right? Not so consumed about what I'm doing, where I'm going, or what happened, because that's where the anxiety comes at from the future, and the depression and the regret comes from the past. But we want to focus on the right now. Right now, who am I? I'm who I say I am. So if you're going through something, right? If you're going through something, you're not having any money, or you're not in that good relationship with that woman or that man, you gotta understand there's a future you, because the future exists in the now, that has everything they want. All you have to do is be that person right now. Don't wait on this outside world to tell you who you are. You got to remember thoughts, influence matter. You create your reality. You're that the moment you say you are, right? It's like a magnet. A magnet, when the molecules are not aligned right, it demagnetizes. But when those molecules are focused, it's a magnet and it attracts what it wants. That's exactly what your mind is. Your mind is the attractive factor. It attracts exactly what it is that you really believe. You have to check your beliefs. That's why presence is so important. Because what presence does, it allows you to sit back and think, wow, what am I thinking? When something happens, you get to see how you react to it in a split instant, right? And you get to look at that thought, observe that thought, and you choose to identify with that thought or another thought. It's like, okay, let's just say I lost my keys this morning, right? I could get angry. It's natural to say, oh, I get frustrated and anxious about where my keys at. I'm going to be late to wherever I'm going. Then I sit back and think, oh, how does being anxious and getting frustrated even, how is that productive? It's not. How do I want to think about this? Let me sit down and just retrace my steps and think, where have I been? Because that anger and that frustration or that anxiety, right? It's not going to do anything in this present moment that's conducive to who I am. You can't allow yourself to think like you thought in the past. You have to think like who you want to be in the future. But that future is right now. You're creating it right now. Just like whatever results you have right now is based off of who you were in the past. You're creating that future right now, and it's all the way real. It's real just as you can see it right now. You have to believe in that future before anybody else does. Most people, they're used to you being whoever you've been in for the past 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? You're used to you being that. That's why the first time something doesn't work, you say, "Ah, you give up," because you don't believe it. But it is working. Whatever it is that you envision, it's working right now. This is what the law of attraction is. It's always working. The same way gravity is working. You have to believe in it the same way you believe in gravity. The same way that you believe in radio signals. The same way that you believe in atoms. You have to believe in the law of attraction. It works the same way. It's always been working. Right? Oh yeah. In order to gain access to him, you first have to seek the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, and all things will be okay. So, if you really want access to that future you, right, this is the kingdom of God. This is God's throne that sits on water. Your brain sits on water. The mind is infinite. It lives forever, right? How do you know the mind lives forever? Because I can write a book right now that can influence thousands of people, right? And they could pass that book on through the way they live their life, through the things that they say. And is not my words, actions, and deeds still alive? What is my mind? My mind is my perceptions, my beliefs, my memory. That's what my mind is, right? It's the intellect. That's what my mind is. Not my brain, but my mind. My mind lives forever. So, that future you, seek first the kingdom and all its righteousness. And what I take from that is righteousness being in accordance with that God, right? Not being out of alignment with that God that's inside of your mind. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Heaven is peace, joy, abundance, contentment of mind, right? Because that God in there, the one that you want, he doesn't go through. He's not reactionary. He doesn't, he's not mad about because he lost $5 or $20. He's rich. It doesn't bother him the same way. See, right now, if you look inside of your bank account and you seen $5 was gone, or $20 was gone, or $100, you would freak out, right? Because the current you, that's a lot of money. What about the millionaire you? Not saying he wouldn't be concerned about it, because he would, but he wouldn't cry about it. He wouldn't freak out about it. He would look at it, oh wow, okay, $400 gone. Where's that? He would logically respond because he understands now is the only time he has. He wouldn't spend any time not completely being full of peace, love, joy, and abundance if he can help it, if he's aware enough to do it. This is the power of awareness. This is what awareness does for you. Yeah. So great is he that's in you than that's in the world. Is he or is he not? That's why you fantasize about being it. He's greater that's in you, that's in this world or in this reality. He and you is greater, man. Right? And you want his kingdom, right, to come on earth the same way that it is in heaven. Right? But it has to be done through our actions, words, and deeds. Right? Thoughts, words, and deeds. Right? Because our thoughts not only describe, no, our words not only describe our thoughts, but our words also condition and form our thoughts. That's why we have affirmations. You're always affirming things. Some of us are still running off of a dialogue that we've been running off of for the past 17, 18 years. That same dialogue is running in our mind right now. And we wonder why reality doesn't change. Once you see that conversation in your mind, just observe it. Ask yourself, why is it there? It's been running for so long. So what you do, you go in, right? You might have to rewire it or rewrite it. And the way that you rewrite it is by rewriting your story. If something happened to you and that dialogue is still running in your mind, you go in, right? You want to diffuse it, right? By maybe taking some breathing exercises or some visualizations. But then you want to go in and rewrite that story or rewire that program until it's a whole nother dialogue going on in your mind. That's how you change your whole perception of reality. Because perception is reality. And that perception started off of what? A word. Something someone said to you. May have done something to you either way. That creates that reality. And that reality is replaying itself in your mind. Right? So the past, which is still the now, because you think about it now, is still influencing your future. And you're getting more and more of the same. And that's why we always wonder, man, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening to me? Why is this still going on after all this time? On a conscious level, we've done everything we can do to change it. Man, we go through stuff and we hate that we're going through it, man. I've been there. I've been there, man. Time after time. We'll get in more into my story. We'll get deep into my story so you'll know who I am. Oh, man. You'll know I'm not just talking to you. You'll know I've lived it. I've through it. And also, you have access to the kingdom of God already. It's your mind, right? And once you change and you have to learn how to access it. And once you learn how to access it, you'll change your current reality. But you must first humble yourself. You must become like little children, or you will never enter the kingdom of God, right? Children are more humble. They are not as attracted or attached to the material world as grown ups because they've been here. They've not been here as long as we have. It's just like anybody else. They say you can't teach an old bird new tricks, so you can't put new wine in old wine skin, right? So, in order to really have access to that God, children are so imaginative. You know what I'm saying? Children can imagine anything and go outside and play like they're Batman or Superman or whoever. Those may be old references. I don't know if children even know who Batman and Superman are now, but children are very imaginative. And in order to change your reality, you have to tap back into your imagination, right? Tap back into your imagination. Become creative again. You have to believe in the unseen. You have to see it with this eye or this eye, the mind. If you see it and believe it, you can really manifest it. That's real. Everything that we see with the natural eye was started in somebody's imagination, right? It's the be, do, have model. You have to be this person and do what they do to have what they have, right? Because if you were to get what they have right now, if you don't become that person and do what that person would do, you won't maintain it. That's why we see people who win millions of dollars in the lottery go broke. They never really became the person who could maintain that level of money, right? So they lost it. But this is philosophic alchemy. This is the stuff that we'll talk about. Like I told you, I'm talking to the lost boys in purgatory. That's my target audience. I'll get deeper into that. I'm going to really break that down to you. This is a God given mission. This didn't come from me, man, at all. So, happy to be here with you. I look forward to talking to you. And like I say, this is another thing. Start dusty, man. Start dusty. Let me be your example. This is how you start. Start dusty, bro. Wherever you are right now, start just like that. The moment you get the idea, think about it for a moment. But many of us, to the lost boys in purgatory, we don't have the luxury to just get everything in perfect. No. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, right? All you have to do is fear that if you don't get started, you will be punished. And many of you are being punished right now because you haven't started. You aren't doing what God told you to do. Trust me, I know. That's why I was in purgatory. So anyway, I'm your brother, Johnny Lamar X. I'm happy to be here. Welcome to Philosophic Alchemy. All right, peace.